It's been too long since I've spoken about ReZero, so to quench my withdrawal symptoms, I thought I'd go back and rank all 3 seasons of ReZero from worst to best. I want to profess that I love every single season, all for different reasons, so despite what ends up being last or what ends up being in first place, that doesn't change the sheer quality of what each season has to offer. Also, everything I say is factually correct in every way with no bias present whatsoever, so feel free to take this list as the objectively official ranking of the ReZero seasons. Alright, that's enough stalling. Without further ado, let's get into each season of ReZero ranked from worst to best.
I can't keep losing all the time. I can't afford to keep throwing in the towel, so there's no way I'm gonna go down. From the minute they got here, all they've done is cause pain, and I won't accept losing to people like that. In the end, how could I ever admit that I lost to those jerks? That's why I'll fight. I know I may be weak and useless, but I'm still ready to give this everything that I've got. It's as simple as this. What those guys are doing is wrong. Making the people I love feel like crying is wrong, and they need to be stopped. So I'm gonna fight them! If you stay with me and don't back down, I'll keep going and never surrender! I'll fight! I'll fight it! I'm gonna win this thing!
The latest season and also the most action-packed season falls into last place. On an adaptation level, I think it did a really good job from the books to the dismay of others. I really couldn't care less about most of the things that were cut out, and compared to the previous seasons, this is definitely the most well-adapted arc in all of ReZero. The fights were really well animated, and not only that, it was definitely the best animated season, to the point people were saying that ReZero was carried by its animation. You know, as a ReZero fanboy, I never in my life thought I would ever see anything like this. It almost brings tears to my eyes. We got to see all the candidates in action after not seeing these motherfuckers for 8 years, and the villains were pretty good in the season. It was all around the most solid and well-formed adaptation out of all of ReZero so far. With all that, it's still in my opinion the worst season of ReZero, and that just really goes to show the quality of the show. What falls short for me isn't to do with the quality of the adaptation or the cut content, especially the cut content. The things that were cut aren't even a big deal, and compared to the previous seasons which cut out very important information, especially from season 2, stuff like cutting out the part where Regulus cuts off Reinhardt's leg, seriously, who cares? Regulus isn't this badass people are making him out to be, he's an incel. The anime did an amazing job with Regulus. This has got to be the equivalent of manga fans getting angry because their favorite anime didn't adapt that one panel stroke for stroke exactly how it was in the manga. I don't get why people were so upset on the most basic form of cut content. People got to realize that in terms of adaptation, season 3 did it best. It is just the fact that the quality of arc 5 isn't as strong as the previous arcs in terms of content. I don't watch ReZero for the action, the animation, the stakes, the suffering. Hell, if I did, I probably wouldn't even have that much respect for the show in the first place. All those are just add-ons that, don't get me wrong, they are very appreciated and a definite necessity in any anime, but it's not that crucial piece that hooks me into the series. It's the characters. They are the reason I watch this show. They are the reason I'm so invested in the first place. And the crux of that is Subaru. He's the glue that holds it all together for me. The character arcs he goes through resonate with me so much. The way he develops through each arc into a better person is so inspiring to see. And with him alongside, most of the characters don't get much development aside from Garfield and the Estrella family. And those didn't have that impact that the previous 2 seasons had. All in all, season 3 of ReZero was never going to be able to outshine the other seasons, and that's okay. Its focus on more of an action-oriented arc compared to the usual character-driven arc isn't able to compare. This season is the most different out of everything ReZero has shown us, and because of that, it just can't reach the same peaks that we've seen before. And as I said before, that's okay. It's not needed for every arc to be this very deep, character-driven story. Sometimes we need that dopamine of cool fights and great animation, and it's able to make us appreciate what came before. And as well, because we have a connection to these characters already, we're able to enjoy the series when it does lean into more of an action-heavy arc. And that's pretty much all I have to say for this season. So let's move on to the second best season of ReZero.
I'll tell you what kind of man I really am. I have no strength, but I want it all. I have no knowledge, but all I do is dream. There's nothing I can do, but I struggle in vain like an idiot. I hate myself! All I do is talk a big game and make myself sound like a big shot when I can't do anything! I never do anything, yet I complain with the best of them like it's my job or something! Who the hell do I think I am? I'm a fraud! It's amazing that I can live like this and not feel ashamed! You know I'm right! All of my powerlessness, all of my incompetence, is the product of my rotten and pathetic character. Deep down inside, at the core of my heart, I'm just a small, cowardly, filthy piece of trash who's always worried about how they'll see me, how they'll accept or judge me, and nothing about me has changed!
Next up is the season that started it all. ReZero Season 1 is absolutely amazing. This is the only season with multiple arcs, as arcs 1 and 2 are way shorter compared to the later arcs, but that doesn't change just how high in quality this season is. Subaru's overall character arc in Season 1 is damn near perfect. A shut-in NEET who's given up on life yet for some reason gets summoned into another world with no explanation. There's just so many details you could go into in this season. Subaru's eyes lighting up at the beginning as he realizes this is his second chance to do something with his life. However, he has to realize that this isn't like in games or shows. The world really isn't all that different. It's still life. He can't get everything he wants without putting in the work. The show did a brilliant job with showing us all of Subaru's good traits in the beginning. Him being empathetic towards the elf he met who saved his life, and how he can't just let her die knowing that that's what's going to happen if he doesn't do anything. His altruism in wanting nothing more than to save the kids in the village in Arc 2. His dedication in wanting to save everyone he cares for no matter how badly he himself gets hurt. Listing off all these traits, you'd think, hey, this guy's fucking amazing. But then you get into the second half of Season 1, and we start to see the cracks in Subaru's persona. We see his ugly side, and the anime beautifully shows us this with just how disgusting his facial expressions become, especially in episode 13. We see his pride and arrogance in thinking Amelia owes him for everything he's done for her, his toxic jealousy when Julius formally greets Amelia, his selfishness in doing everything for Amelia when in reality, he was doing it all for himself. That's what makes episode 13 so hard to watch. You see this guy who you've liked so far throughout the series start to exhibit this horrible behavior that some people can relate to as well. And it all accumulates to the fight Subaru and Amelia have, where we just see how rotten he actually is. Look at his expressions, they aren't pleasant to look at all. And for most people, this is the beginning of the end for them. Subaru's behavior just gets more and more erratic, it's almost embarrassing to watch at some points. We see him get played by others, see how useless he is at saving anyone, and each time he refuses to take accountability and always puts the blame on everyone around him. And to us, it just seems like he's fucking around, not thinking logically and just being a mess. So naturally, your opinion of him gets worse, and not only that, the situation gets worse. The witch cult's attack on the village, the white whale blocking the best way back, all of it is just too much to handle. Episodes 13 to 18 are some of the best back-to-back episodes in any anime I've watched. These episodes are what transforms ReZero from a good show to a great show. And it's funny because they're actually the most controversial episodes in the season. It's always fun to watch people's reaction to episode 18 as it lets me know if people actually understood the series. If I see them getting annoyed with Subaru rejecting Rem, that's just completely missing the point behind not just the episode, but the entire series as a whole. Episode 18 is a 10 out of 10 for me, and while you can make the case that episode 15 is better, which I can't argue with, this episode is the catalyst for the whole show. And it's crazy because 90% of the runtime is just two characters talking in one location, yet it's so peak that I could watch this episode on repeat forever. Finally, after most of the show, we get an idea of who Subaru is to his core. We see that he's a kid who had all this freedom, all this time to do whatever he wanted, yet he never did a damn thing. He gave up on life and resorted to seclusion, filled with all this self-hatred for himself, and finally, this was his chance, a world where he could start over. It's why his eyes were so filled with life when he got summoned, but what he failed to realize was that he never changed. Whether the real world or an isekai, he's still the same person. So instead of making a change, he put on a mask, and that can only last for so long. And we never knew about any of this. We find all this out in episode 18. We find out how low Subaru thinks of himself. We learn just how complex he really is. And that's when we find out what this show's really about. Not how Subaru manages to save the day with his ability, but instead his journey in becoming a better man. Becoming the person he wishes he could be. It's such a beautiful beginning to the masterpiece that is ReZero, and that's what this season has over Season 3. Season 3 doesn't have this nuance, it's not able to compare, and you know what's funny? Season 1 isn't even my favorite season, and the parallel between Subaru and Petalgoose is phenomenal. Petalgoose embodies the worst traits of Subaru, but takes it up to 1,000. And it's pretty symbolic that the person he has to take out is all his worst traits personified. Pacing wise, it's really good, everything flows relatively smoothly. If I have to give off the negatives of the season, after episode 18, the payoff's good, but not as good as the middle section of the season. but that's just a nitpick. They cut out very important information with some characters, but besides that, season 1 is very underappreciated. I feel like a lot of people didn't understand it when it came out. Everyone more or less was focused on the waifu wars between Rem and Amelia. If you watched season 1 when it came out and you were one of those people, please rewatch it. Season 1 is a masterpiece that deserves so much more love. Out of all the seasons, this is Subaru's best character arc, at least until season 4 comes out. You anime onlys aren't ready. But yeah, that about covers it for season 1, and since there's only 3 seasons, you already know what number 1 is, so without wasting any time, let's just get right into it.
You get into situations where you have to reach out and help, but your arms and mind are both too weak to reach far enough, so all you ever end up doing is wasting precious time and desperately flailing around!
I dreams till my throat goes dry. That way, even Mother up in the skies above will hear me. I'll tell her that I'm going to live happily in the world she dearly loved for the rest of my life.
So, if I use a shield meant for defense to attack instead, the best defense and the best offense both come together as a team.
Master Roswell, I love you.
You would seriously ask me that question? Standing there and mocking my heart after everything that's happened? Stop lying. I know that can't be so. You say you love me. How dare you?
Take my hand and choose me, Beatrice! You want someone to get you out of here, don't you? Isn't that the reason why you sat right in front of this door for hundreds of years?
I swear an oath that henceforth you vow to protect the one who stands before you.
I will defend you. I will grant your every wish. My name is Subaru Natsuki. Emilia, I am your knight. Yours and yours alone.
Season 2. This is my personal favorite, and funny enough is the season I have the most problems with. Look, I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. This season is fucking confusing as fuck. It is quite literally impossible to understand this season all in one go. Hell, around 4 rewatches, I was still finding stuff out that I had completely missed. Everyone's goals are so complicated. People say one thing, then it turns out that everything they said was complete bullshit. It's a clusterfuck, I won't deny it. This season cut out so much information it's almost absurd. And I find it funny that people's main concern with season 3 was the cut content when season 2 exists. Oh, I can't believe it. They cut out Teresia's struggles and her backstory when they literally cut out, and if you don't want to hear it, skip to this. Even though I can't see any way for the anime to smoothly put this into the story. Fuck it, they'll probably do it in another break time episode. Echidna's rebirth. They seriously cut out an important character's resurrection from the show, and I know for a fact she'll have an extremely important role to play later on in the series. And people were complaining about Regulus's backstory being cut. Are we serious right now? And you're probably wondering, why is this even my favorite season? All I've done is complain. Look, I can admit structure-wise, season 1 and 3 are better, and better adapted. But man, season 2 has so much heart. And I'm also extremely biased as this was the season where I woke up and realized ReZero is a masterpiece. This season came out during the height of COVID, and despite that, the animators managed to make a season of this quality. Despite how slow and confusing the first half is, despite how much gets cut out, that doesn't change the fact that this season got me to care about everyone in the Emilia camp. In season 1, I liked Subaru and Rem. However, that was it. The way season 2 not only got me to care for Emilia, but actually make her become one of my favorite characters in all of ReZero is insane. And it's insane because when I first watched ReZero, I hated Emilia. I hated her with a passion. And Garfield, Otto, Ram, and Beatrice, finally all these characters get some of the spotlight and they're all amazing. And the payoff to everything was so peak. I can only think of 2 times I felt like this, and one of those 2 was Arc 6. Because of how slow and painful, in a good way, the first half was, that added so much to the second half. In the first half, there was so much mystery going on. The stakes were at its highest. Subaru had to somehow save the sanctuary from the trials and the white rabbits, somehow deal with Garfield, and also stop the assassins attacking the mansion, all within a couple of days. On my first watch of season 2, I was genuinely questioning if he was going to be able to do it. With every attempt and failure, it was becoming more and more hopeless. Every episode was just death after death, and by the end of the first half, we were at our lowest. Subaru still didn't know what to do. The people he trusted turned out to not be trustworthy at all. At this point in the story, this is quite literally the most alone Subaru has ever been in the story so far. And then Otto, like a guardian angel, pulls up and punches the shit out of Subaru for being a complete dumbass. Throughout season 2, we've seen the extent Otto will go through to help Subaru, yet Subaru never asks for his help. And finally, this one interaction was all that was needed for Subaru to realize what he has to do. He's utterly useless. He's not good enough. He can't do it all on his own. he needs help. It's as simple as that. Not help from a dead witch or a 400-year-old simp, but help from someone who cares for him, who will listen to Subaru's almost insane ramblings and trust that he's telling the truth with no lies attached. And with that realization, Return by Death is completely useless at this point. There's no benefit to relying on it now because he knows what's going to happen. He has support. He just needs to trust in his and his friends' abilities. And that also is what makes Roswaal such a perfect villain for Season 2, because he embodies the complete opposite of what Subaru needed. He wants Subaru to forever be alone, to discard everyone he cares about, including himself, and only focus on the one he cares for the most, that being Amelia. And that's where the payoff of the second half comes to play. We get all the unanswered questions of the season, such as Amelia's backstory and the issues behind Garfield, but most importantly, we see everything fall into place. Subaru helping Amelia by finally trying to understand her problem instead of avoiding the problem, Amelia's explosive growth for the rest of the season, Subaru helping Garfield get closure for his dead mom, which allowed him to join the gang and save the mansion, Ram burning the Tome of Wisdom, Amelia completing the trials, Garfield and Elsa's fight, Subaru and Beatrice forming a spiritual contract together, and going back to the Sanctuary to defeat the White Rabbits with Amelia, and finally, ending it all with Subaru officially becoming Amelia's knight. And this all happens without Subaru dying once. Can we just take a minute to let that sink in, because I've spoken about this before, but even after all these years, I still find this absolutely insane. Accomplishing all this in a matter of days, and yes, he did know everything that was going to happen, but let's not forget that before Subaru decided to lock the fuck in, he was pretty much having a panic attack. And also, just by knowing what's going to happen doesn't mean that it suddenly becomes this easy task. This shit is hard. And the fact that he was able to pull it off till this day is one of the greatest things I've seen a protagonist do since starting anime. Through his actions, he was able to show Roswaal that his way of thinking isn't the best path forward. This season also has the most lore and world building out of any season, and I feel like in general ReZero's world building gets overlooked heavily. While season 1 hints at certain things like Satella destroying half the world and information about the dragon and the other nations, and season 3 has the whole thing with Pastella being extremely familiar to Japanese architecture and that the city was built to kill a witch, this season definitely adds extra layers that make the ReZero world extremely interesting. We get introduced to the other witches, and not only that, we get to see flashbacks from 400 years ago. To anyone who doesn't know, so much happened 400 years ago. This was the era where all the witches were alive, Satella being sealed. It was a very important time in the series' history. There's also other characters like Hector and Pandora that were introduced that add an extra element of mystery to the series. And also, till this day, I still want to know what was behind that door. It's clearly something very important if Pandora herself wants to open it. Season 2 showed me enough to be satisfied for the time being world building wise, but it also left me with questions that I'm dying to know the answers to. I could talk about this season for the rest of my life. Season 2 has the most problems out of every season of ReZero, but has the most hype and peak moments out of every season in ReZero, and they all happen back to back. That emotion Season 2 was able to bring is what ultimately made me fall in love with the series in the first place, and is without a doubt the best season of ReZero. Until Season 4 comes out. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, giving a like would be greatly appreciated, and if you're new here, subscribing would be great. I love this series to death, and hopefully you guys have a better understanding of why that is. But with all that being said, that's all I have to say for now. See ya.